What's going on, guys? Jason Lore here with Jason Lore Photography and Films. And normally I would do my weekend walks episode, but unfortunately it's raining and it's windy outside today, and I'm just gonna keep it indoors for this week. So we're gonna go from the weekend walks to the weekend talks, but definitely for sure we're gonna have something interesting to talk about today. Um, yeah, today is my Sunday. Yesterday, I wanted to do a weekend walk, but unfortunately, because of Christmas, that means there's gonna be Christmas shopping involved, which thankfully I was able to survive. Went to Target and then Costco. It got pretty packed around 9 or 10 o'clock, so luckily I was able to knock that out, get all my Christmas presents wrapped. So we are ready to just sit and talk. So all right, hope everybody's doing well. Hope you guys got all your Christmas shopping done too. If not, then definitely brace yourself because it's gonna be madness. But all will be worth it once it's all said and done. So, alrighty. Anyways, so today's talk is gonna be on the farmers market. So, not a lot of people know this, but when I was a kid growing up, I did. I worked as a cashier at the farmers market with my mom and dad. So my mom and dad, they do a lot of farming. Eventually, as I grew up, I was farming as well, helping out with harvesting and planting the vegetables. But for this talk, we're just gonna focus more on the farmers market aspect of it because when it comes to the farming, like there's definitely lots to talk about it. It's been an incredible journey, going from just farming to farmers market and then up till now. But anyways, so yeah, when I was a kid around like the third grade, I want to say it was like 8 or 9 years old at that time, or even 7 years old. But around the third grade, I once I learned how to speak basic English, do basic math. That's when my parents, you know, thought that it was time that I started, working at the market as the cashier because the thing with my parents is that they don't speak English that well, and so that's the reason why I was up. A lot of my siblings, they helped out here and there too, but that was when I was qualified to start working at a very young age. And this is something that you normally don't have your kids doing, but given our situation at that time, like that's what we had to do to survive. And that's what kept a roof over our heads and food on the table for all eight of us. Yes, all eight of us. And you're talking to or listening to number eight right now. But anyways, so what was the farmers market like? It was pretty tough. I mean, especially having to start out as a kid at that time. Like for me, you know, our the farmers market that we went to, it was the one in Chico, downtown Chico, and our stall space was at least about, like, I want to say 20 feet by 20 feet or even bigger than that. But all I can say is that if this was the stall, right, and you're facing me, basically imagine 10 people from left to right. That's how much you can have, how many people you can have in front of you. So I remember, like, when I first started, I was having to deal with one person at a time, when they buy all their vegetables from us. And it went from one person to two-person, or to two people to three people, and eventually four people that was having to help right in front of me. And that's when I developed like that skill of like multitasking. So like, say for instance, if somebody owes $5, right? And they give me $10, so I owe them $5 change back. And then there's another person over here who owes also $5, and they have the exact change. I take the $10, I take the $5 from the other person, give it to the person that needs change back, and then there you go. It's almost like a combo right there, as they would say in like the Street Fighting and Mortal Kombat video games. But anyways, yeah, you start to develop like a lot of skills like that, and that was something that, looking back now, was an incredible skill. That's how we worked. We figured out how to make things work, and we move on. So Another tough thing about the farmers market life was like just the early starts of the day. Like we started off at 4 a.m. in the morning. The Saturday morning market opens at 7:30, sometimes 7 a.m. It changes between 7:30 and 7 a.m. But we would have to wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning to get dressed, get cleaned up and ready, and then we have to pack up all the vegetables and the flowers. Yeah, we even grew flowers back then too, believe it or not. We have to pack everything up and get to the farmers market, start setting up, and then start start the day with just customers. So for me, like that was nothing that I was expecting to do. Like I thought I was gonna be growing up, in a with a regular kid's life. Saturday mornings, I should be up with a bowl of cereal and watching Saturday morning cartoons after a long week at school. But for me, it's Saturday morning markets for me. So that was one of the tough things for me too as a kid growing up because now I'm having to juggle both school and the farmers market. And a lot of people say like, man, that's just doing so much. That's pretty cruel. But at the same time, hey, I'm sorry, but money wasn't falling off the tree and into our laps at that time. We really had to go out there and work our butts off to make a living, to again put a roof over our heads and food on the table for us. So now that I've grown up, like I look back and I can totally respect them for doing that, and also to entrust me to do something that a kid normally wouldn't be doing. That's actually like I look at that as like a respect, because nowadays it's like a lot of parents, they don't really trust their kids to go out and work or do other stuff because they're afraid of like what you know it could do to them, like affects their school. And don't get me wrong, it's like it was very stressful for me too as a kid growing up, having to again juggle work and school at the same time. But I eventually started developing like certain ways of like doing both. It's just having to find that balance. And so by allowing me to do this, like it's actually helped me grow throughout the whole years. And granted, I didn't get to go out with my friends that much, and that was a big bummer for me. But it's interesting though, like not just my parents, but a lot of the customers who are also good friends of mine. They're a mixture of like teachers, parents, and people who've worked for so long. They've always told me the same thing, and that was, it's good that you're working because it keeps you out of trouble. And you know what? That's exactly true. I can honestly tell you that from my own experience of having to work the farmers market a lot, is that I would hear a lot of stories from my friends now who talk about the days of how they used to always get in trouble by doing all this stuff that they're not supposed to be doing. Yeah, it makes for a great story, don't get me wrong, but then at the same time it's now something that you kind of have to live with and always look back. But um I can honestly say like right now, like I didn't get to experience that, but at the same time, I don't have any stories to share about me getting into a lot of trouble, which is always a good thing, because that really does matter when you're going out and looking for jobs. Because nowadays, especially, they always ask you about like your history, right? And they can look up your history if it's even on record. So that's something to also think about. But uh, I also do admire the fact that it did help me a lot with my social skills as well. Is because you meet different characters out there when they come up to your booth. Like again, some of them can be, you know, uh, shoot, artists, musicians, craftsmen, or teachers, construction workers, like you name it. Like a lot of them come out to the farmers market to buy vegetables, buy arts and crafts, and all the other stuff that that are there at the market, which is nice. The only thing that I wish I could have been able to do was like be able to venture out there and like actually connect with all the other vendors too. My brother who was working with me at that time, he was able to go out there and talk with all the vendors. That's why when they walk by, they always ask, for my brother, and also, ask where he's at. And it just felt like, okay, I was being ignored. And, that always got to me a lot. But then I came to learn that, it's fine. Because, like, from what my dad told me when I asked him, hey, can I go out and, talk to people or just go enjoy the market? And he said, no, you have to stay here. And I was like, why? I worked so hard this morning. It's like, can I just go out and browse for a bit? And my dad told me that, no, we need you here because, everybody likes you. And I didn't think too much about it then, but I thought about it now and I realized, he was right. And, the reason for that being is that, okay, people like you because you're always so happy to see everybody and they're always happy to see you. You have a really good personality, even as like a kid growing up to like high school. Because again, I worked from third grade all the way till see, when I was 21. That's when I moved out of the house to go to college at SF State. And so it really traces back that far as like my history of working in the farmers market. And again, it's just from what my dad said, everybody loves your company. Everybody likes you because you again are someone who they enjoy talking with, and someone who they would definitely come back to see. And so I thought to myself right now, it's like, that is a great compliment, because it is great when people want to come and talk to you, because now it's like, you have that sense of like, being liked. I guess it's a really great feeling. I mean, like for the newer generations, it's like, when you get a like on Facebook or a heart in Instagram. That's already like, a great feeling to have when people notice you. And so I think like it goes the other way around too, is like, when people do come up and buy vegetables from me, I always ask them, how did your week go, and how did it go with this event, or what you did, as far as like what we talked about last week, and they really appreciate that. And it was just a really great feeling to hear everyone's stories as well. And sometimes, or yeah, sometimes like they'll ask me how I'm doing, and it's a really great feeling. So yeah, because of that, it's like I majority of the time stood at the stall while everyone else got to go out and like browse around and explore. So I I look back and I said, what, that's actually a good point, and I actually cherish that even more than ever. So another thing about the farmers market that I do remember the most is just what I've learned from it and what I've gathered from it to use to this day. Um, like I said, we used to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go out and no, sorry, 4 o'clock in the morning to get ready for the farmers market. The job that I'm currently at right now, I work from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. And looking back, sorry. Uh, I would have to wake up usually around 4 a.m., right, and get ready, and then go to work. And so now I think back, it's like, wow, that's just kind of like the farmers market in a sense. And now where I work at, I'm like, handing out equipment to people, right? It's like, shoot, I have to deal with usually like 4 or 5 people or 3 people at a time. And so it was like the farmers market again, because again, having to deal with like so many people so many times, it's like all of that time at the farmers market led up to this point. And it's like, wow, that just totally like was mind-blowing, like how like everything was all um preparing me for like the challenges in my life up till now. So I told my mom and dad, I was like thinking, well, maybe you guys aren't crazy after all. Because as kids growing up, it's like, man, we do not understand what's going on in the minds of our parents, like why they would always be so like worry words about what we do, and always be so like on us all the time about doing you know, was it keeping up with our homework and all of our, work and all that. It's like it was always like, making sure we go down that path. I think like that's what uh, true parents are, and that's what my parents are to me. Everyone else's experience is different, but I can tell you this from my experiences that, my time working at the farmers market with my parents was like really how we bonded too, and also knew how we worked. My parents at the farmers market, my mom would be bundling flowers if we didn't finish bundling flowers the night before, and my dad would be helping to stock up like most of the vegetables, and then of course me being able to speak English well and do math, it's like I handled the register, so we all knew what we needed to do. And as much as like people will say, well, why don't you just have your dad work the register so he will learn English? It's like, well, here's the thing, it's like it's always one thing after another. So at that point it's like we're there, and we know that this is our strength and weaknesses. And so it's like, when it's go time, it's like it's go time. You know what I mean? It's like the time for training and all that, it's like, there really wasn't any time. Because here's another thing too, is that once the farmer's market's over, we have to go back to the farm and prep for the next market, which may be the next day. Because it wasn't just the Saturday market, actually. There was the Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday market. Monday is probably the only time. No, sorry, not Monday, but Sunday is probably like the only time we had to rest. So it's like you can use that time to learn, or you can use that time to rest, because come Monday morning, we're back out in the field either harvesting or planting more plants. And that's another thing too with Sunday. It's like, yeah, we'll have like a little time to rest, but we still have to go to the farm too to, either pull out weeds or, plant more plants, and it's like, it's a never ending, work, work day for us. I mean, like I said, it's like we have like a 4 acre farm that we rent, and it's always constantly different vegetables for the seasons, and that's why there's no really rest for us. And plus, we're trying to work to get all these vegetables out there to not just ourselves but to other people out there, which could be hundreds and in the thousands, because of like the majority of the markets that we attend. So it's a very, very, yeah, it's a very, very hard job to do. I mean, a lot of people don't know this, but when you're trying to feed like so many people, it never seems to stop. And that's where, for me, my parents, I've grown a lot of respects as I've grown up throughout the years, knowing like this is what they had to do to survive. And on top of that, they had 8 kids, to raise as well. So how they did it, it's just incredible to me. And it's something that I hope to instill upon to my children one day. Is like, if anything I would do differently is like just create a balance of like work school, and was it fun. Because that's the one thing I wish I had a little bit more too, was like being able to be a kid still. Because you can have me doing like jobs that adults would normally do, like at the farm or the farmers market, but at the same time, I'm still a kid. I still need to go through that phase of like going and hanging out with friends, and just doing fun stuff. And so again, it could be because our living situation or like financial situation like that, where we can't afford to do a lot of fun stuff. That could be a factor too. In fact, that pretty much was a factor for me. Everyone else, it could be different, but yeah, if anything I would do for my kids is like just have that balance, because you want your kids to also know the meaning of hard work and making an honest living, and then also at the same time enjoying life as well, because life is short. You don't know when your time is coming to, so it's like it's good to have that balance of both. And I think like that's one of the great foundations that my parents like instilled upon me. Having me to work a lot during my time growing up kept me out of trouble. Um, Taught me the meaning of hard work and making an honest living. So, um, shoot, it's you know, it was a long journey. It wasn't easy, like I said, you know, growing up as a kid, like living like that or working like that. But it there was some actually a lot of benefits out of it too. And actually to end this as well, uh, is just what I told my friend the other day was like, isn't it interesting that the things that we dreaded the most as a kid growing up was actually our salvation? Like for me, okay, everybody again is different, but the thing that I dreaded the most, and this is me from my experience, is the farmers market because it to me took away my childhood, of like being a regular kid. But you know what? Like again, like having to wake up 4 a.m. in the morning to go to the farmers market, and not being able to wake up to watch cartoons and all that, and always having to juggle between work and school. Growing up from a kid to adult, it's like it was one of the things I dreaded the most because I wanted to have fun too. I didn't have that much fun growing up, and so it's what I dreaded. But now, given like again with the job I'm working at right now, it's actually taught me. Oh no, I'm so used to that right now to where I can wake up early and just go to work and then come back. And if I have to work overtime, it's like one of the nights that we prepped for the farmers market, washing the vegetables or bundling flowers with my mom. Yes, Friday nights, guys, when you guys were out partying, I was bundling flowers with my mom. Okay, so it wasn't fun because sometimes we finish around like 2 o'clock in the morning, which is pretty much like a double shift right there. Because waking up early, going to harvest the vegetables, and then having to wash the vegetables and bundling flowers till past midnight. That was like basically overtime right there too. So the overtime that I work right now, it's like, it's gotten me like used to it. But the thing is that when you do get older, it's like it does become like pretty overwhelming too. So but I think like had I not had that type of like experience growing up, it's like I probably wouldn't have lasted this long. Honestly, like there's some people who are younger than me. I'm 35 years old right now. There's some people that are younger than me who are already crying about like getting held over. And it's like, hey man, we've all had some pretty like, tough times too. But the thing is that if you can survive this, then you're gonna go so far and beyond. And of course, if it's something that's not for you, you can always look for something else. But in this field that we are in, it's like it's one of the things where you really have to endure a lot. And same thing with the farmers market was I had to endure a lot, especially when I was a little kid. And as the time goes by, it's like now with the farming, and the harvesting as well. Now it just adds more work to it, which again I'll be talking about that some other time. But it's like just it was just one of the things that really led me down the right path in life. And I think if anything, my parents, I have them to thank for that, for setting me down that course of again making an honest living, you know, learning the meaning of hard work, and just never giving up. So it's like definitely, it was pretty, you know, uh, struggling. I guess it's also very, hard for a kid. But it definitely made me a lot stronger, like I am today. So, that's something that I, thank my parents for, was entrusting me that I can do it. So, anyways, That's it for the farmers market. Sorry it took a little bit longer. I know it's definitely something I wanted to keep short, but it's just it's just something that after a long, long time, it's or doing for a long, long time. Like the story can get pretty long, but I hope you guys do enjoy that story and that talk. Um, like I said, it's like it was quite an experience, and it's something I can have to look back on. So, um, yeah, for those of you guys that are still with me, I definitely, I thank you guys, love you guys for that. Um, Otherwise, that's it for this talk. If you guys want to check out more of my episodes from the previous walks, you can find them on my Facebook and my YouTube channel as well. Which, speaking of, if you guys haven't done so, definitely click that subscribe button and get more notifications of any more videos and more talks and more events that I'll be involved in, which I will be next year in 2022. So looking forward to that, and hoping for the best. So until then, this is Jason Lore with Jason Lore Photography and Films, bringing art, stories, and entertainment.